Okay, so what we're going to do today is I'm going to show you how to install R and then the package rcmdr onto your Windows 10 PC. A different video will be used to show you how to install R and rcmdr onto your MacBook or other Mac operating system computer. Okay, so just a kind of a quick overview about where we're headed. So we have two installations that you're going to do. The base software, as currently the R version is 4.1.2, and they come up with new versions about every 6 to 8 months, something along those lines. You don't have to do the upgrades, and actually upgrading your R is a little bit different from upgrading other software. So certainly for the semester, you don't need to think about upgrading at all. So we're going to just try to get you the latest and greatest. And that would be a point here. If you have installed R in the past, I want you to do a clean install and put the new version on there. It just makes all of our lives a lot easier. And then after we get R installed, we'll show you additional functions, and really where the power of the R software comes in is that people write software that are put together as packages, and these increase the capabilities of R tremendously. And so we're going to install the package rcmdr, abbreviated RCMDR, which is currently version 2.7-2. And that'll make your learning curve accessing the statistical functions in R significantly better. If you use RStudio and you feel like you're just a whiz-bang at it, that's fine. You can continue to use it, but rcmdr and RStudio don't play very well together. And what you end up with is a whole bunch of windows on your computer, so things kind of get lost, especially on those small laptop screens. So anyway, the recommendation for our class this semester is that you're going to install the base package, R itself, and then the package rcmdr. Throughout the semester, we'll be adding some additional packages, but those two installs, that'll get you going. Okay, so this video is about WinPC. There'll be a Mac operating system specific video posted also by the end of the week on your YouTube channel. I just wanted to throw out there though, so the steps that we're going to show with installing on the Windows PC largely mirror the things that you're going to do with the Mac operating system. However, there are a couple of steps that you have to take before you even do install R on your Mac operating system. The first is you have to install some windowing software called Xquartz now. Okay, so that you go to the website xquartz.org. There's just one file to download, and you follow the instructions to install it, and that supports running R. Okay, the history of why you have to do this is long and not really relevant at this point, but if you want to follow up the history and why you have to do this on your Mac operating system but not on Windows, go ahead and read about it someplace else, right? Good thing to know about your computer. What's the history of all the decisions that they made? The second thing that Mac people have to do, you have to be aware that Apple has made substantial changes to the hardware for the longest time, and this was awesome. Apple used the very same Intel chips that Windows PCs used. And so for people who are writing software, this was a wonderful merging of the two different platforms. But something like about 12 to 18 months ago, Apple went all in on delivering its own CPU, the M1, and it's apparently a fantastic chip for mobile devices, including your laptops. It's really gentle on your battery, and so you get much longer battery life. It's fast, and so it's a great innovation by Apple. Totally makes sense. But the problem, of course, is that they've changed all the rules for everybody else who writes software for Mac operating systems. So, and meanwhile, so while I'm teaching this course this semester, I know that some of us have MacBooks that are running on the old Intel chip, right? And so we're going to have to provide you with instructions to install the windowing system and to be aware of whether or not you have the M1 or the Intel chip, because they're different software installations that you need to do. But like I said, we'll go to the video on the Mac operating system installation for that. Okay, so at any rate, the general rule here is when we're installing new software, and we're basically newbies, as they say, okay, it's just trust the default choices that the vendor has provided for you. That's largely going to make everything work just fine. For our installation of R on Windows PCs running Windows 10, or now the next version, Windows 11, presumably, there's one exception to the default. And so we're going to say stay tuned for that. Okay. All right. So the overview of where we're headed, you want to do a little bit to prepare your computer for when you install software. Often this isn't a big deal. You can pretty much ignore this, but there's a couple things that you can do for setting up your Windows PC to be more okay with things. Then once you've done that, you're going to go to through your browser, you're going to go to rproject.org. You're going to select what's called a mirror site to get the install file. Obviously, you download the install file. Then you start the installation process by just double-clicking on that install file. What will happen at that point is that Windows is going to start freaking out a little bit, because you are trying to install software that doesn't come through their Microsoft App Store, right? And so tell the security it's okay. Follow the installation prompts, except for this one thing. And so this is the point I was warning you about. You're going to want to change the default install location. And so this will be more obvious when I show you the screenshots when we're doing this, but basically you want to put the R base into your root drive, and the root drive is C://. Okay, so again, lots of history about what's going on, but basically what it is that Windows does some weird things about where you install files, and particularly if you have selected OneDrive as sort of your main place where you store things, when you go to install packages and increase the function of R, it's hard to get R to save these things in the right location, and they'll end up in the cloud instead of on your local computer. So the simplest solution is right off the start there, you install it into the root drive, in which case you'll be able to install packages with just simply accepting administrator prompts, and you'll be good to go. Okay, so again, that's the only thing that we need to really change is the install location. So then the step 8 is basically just follow the prompts as they go, accepting the defaults. And then an additional thing, this isn't essential, but it helps you down the road again, which is so you're going to get a shortcut put onto your desktop. And so normally you just click on it and off you go, and it starts OR. But again, the way Windows security works is that it freaks out if you try to install stuff. And so it'll try to install packages into your personal folder, which again, most likely the default is to your OneDrive. So we don't want that. So the workaround is to change the access rights on the desktop so that it'll always run as an administrator. Okay. Let's see. So yeah, let's switch now over to computer, what we're going to do to our computer. So we're going to go to our settings, and go to the apps, choose where to get apps. So you're going to want to choose this to anywhere. This will tell your operating system that you're expecting to get applications, not just from the Microsoft Store, but from anywhere. And, you know, after you install your R and stuff, I would recommend that you change this back to the default, which is Microsoft only recommendations, okay? But I know what I'm doing, right? So anyway, that's the one thing that you need to do to sort of prepare your computer for this. Okay, so once you've done that, go to your browser, and let's get back to the home page here. I left it on. There we go. Okay, so rproject.org, and there's a lot of stuff here, and so you could start reading, but you know, good Lord, why do you want to do that? What you want to do is you want to download R, okay? And so what you do for that, you can click on download R, okay? And I'm having sort of slow network thing. So you'll learn about what mirrors are, but just basically thinking it's copies of the R software hosted on servers around the world. We're always going to use this one here, the Zero Cloud. This is provided for by the folks that do RStudio, and so it's generally going to be the most up-to-date. So we're going to click on that. Slowly, slowly, slowly. There we go. And of course, we're doing Windows, so we're going to click on the Download R for Windows. And again, lots of stuff to look at, but what we're going to do is click on Base. Okay? Download R for Windows, 86 megabytes. And so I would click on that to save it. Okay? Now, I already saved it. Excuse me while we get there. And I know it goes to my downloads. I have this under alphabetized, so bear with me for a second. There it is. Okay, so obviously the steps are you go to the R project, you go to the download page, you select the location where you're going to download the file, and then you download the file. And so it's an executable, so you can tell that by the .exe. So the next steps, go ahead and double click, and let's get going. And here we begin to get warnings from Windows. So even though I told Windows, hey, I'm going to be installing software from a different location, it really doesn't trust you. So it's going to give you a bunch of prompts. Click yes. Select your language. The default is English. This is called your end user agreement. It's a standard licensing, and we all click on the next to accept it. We never read them, but it's a standard license, GNU library. Okay, so this is where we want to change things up. Okay, this is Windows' suggestion to load these into your program files, and it's like, well, that makes sense, except for it doesn't work with R as seamlessly as we like. So what we're going to do is we're going to change this like so. So here's our root directory that I told you about, c:// and then the next first is going to be R, and then the version follows. So \version. Okay? Click next once you've done that. Yes. that's not a message you're going to get. But what I'm doing is I'm reinstalling so that I can show you how it looks. So I forgot to delete that folder. All right. You can leave this as is. I already know I don't need translations into different languages. Certainly we need the core files. 32-bit files, that's a debatable thing, but there are some packages that are written for 32-bit. That's the CPU dynamics and stuff. And so again, what I basically told you is just accept the defaults and move on. But you can get rid of the translations. That saves you a little bit of memory, storage memory. Okay, do you want to customize the startup options? Okay, I would, because I've been using R for a number of years, but again, our theme is what? If you don't know what you're doing, trust in the experts, click next. Okay, this is going to create our desktop shortcut. That's good. Okay. All right. Save to your registry. Yes. Associate R with R data files. Well, yes. Okay. And off we go. Meanwhile, it's a good time to take a sip of your cup of coffee. Progress bar is growing as we're watching it. Thousands and thousands of files are being installed. If you look at them, you can see some of them are .html. Those are going to be your help pages. And so R comes with this, a manual that allows you to click on a help button or type help and then the name of the command. And so you're getting a whole bunch of how to do things as part of your installation package. And you'll just see them in your default browser. Important part when you're working with your computer, be prepared for some slow time. Still moving. Now, aren't you glad you didn't tell R to let you set this up manually? Look at all the decisions you would have had to make. And again, the good news, whether you're running this on a Mac operating system or Windows, at this point, basically the installation is going to look very much the same. Okay, we're getting towards the end. So part of what I'm doing in my genetics courses and my statistics courses, I'm introducing you as gently as possible to the open source software world. Open source means that all the code is available to you, and often these projects allow you to contribute and what's remarkable about it is that the software is offered free to the community. Okay, so we got our completion button. We're ready to go. Click Finish. Okay, so let's show my desktop. Okay, and where is our version of R? Okay, well, I see the 386 version. Up there is the one we want. So remember, we chose, let me kind of move that out of the way. Yes, that's my desktop. This is my theme working together. And notice this is the supervisor over here. So we said to install both the 386 and the 64-bit version. And I'm going to go ahead and just delete that. That's just a shortcut, so I'm not actually changing in the installation. But this is the one that I wanted to work with. This is going to be our main way to connect to R, so I'm going to right click on that, choose Properties. Okay, choose Advanced, and I want to run it as an administrator. Okay, apply that. It's very concerned about your life choices at this point, so continue. Yes. Okay, so we're good to go. Let's go back to our desktop. Sorry. Okay, let's get it started. So I'm going to double click on it. And because I told it to run as an administrator, what's Windows going to do? It's going to second guess my life choices again. So click yes. And you will have to do that every time. But the bonus is that we're going to get an R installation that's much, much more flexible. Okay, so you always get this sort of introductory message when you start things up. And this current version is called Bird Hippie. I have no idea why. They have kind of fun sort of nicknames for their software. So the first thing we're going to do, though, we're good to go. Things are working. And so we're going to install the Rcmdr package, right? So word of warning, you have to type exactly correctly. R is case sensitive, so it's capital R, then lowercase cmdr. Anything else is going to get you an error message. You need the quotes. So let's go ahead and hit return, and it's now going to ask us to set our mirror site. Kind of close down my PowerPoint thing here. All right, there we go. Default is right there. We'll choose OK. When you get a little bit better at this, we'll show you how to set up your R, what's called your R environment, so that it will always default to that location. But for now, it's okay to just leave that alone. You're not going to be installing software all the time, just occasionally. Okay, again, I'm having slow internet day, so things are taking a little bit. We're waiting for, there we go. Okay, so once we're back, this is called the R prompt. We're good to go. So we're going to now activate all of the software that's part of the Rcmdr package. And so this is a general command. You type library and then the name of the package, and then you hit enter. Come on, baby, you can do it. There we go. All right. Now you may get a message that says that you haven't installed all the software that you need. Right? So just again, what's the lesson? You just accept the defaults and trust R to do what it needs to do and type click on the OK button. In this case, everything was set up for us and we're good to go. Okay, so we're ready to go. I'm going to stop the video at this point because the goal was to install base R and get the package rcmdr installed as well. Okay, but the hints are that you're not quite done. You're going to need to load some additional software. Okay. Looks pretty good on that. Okay, cancel. All right. And so we're going to go ahead and call it a day. Thanks for listening.